Hey folks, it's Stefan here with another Pathfinder adventure card game, Wrath of the Righteous episode. This week's scenario is the Siege of Drezen. Drezen's walls can stand tall against an invading army of demons, unless that army is already occupying the city. You must break through the city's defenses wall by wall to reach the Chimera Soltengrebbe. The Fifth Crusade departed from a city devastated by war. Now you must reclaim one. We are going to be displaying the troops, Knights of Canabras, which we did last game as well. There is no villain. The henchmen are Worldwound Cadres, and during this scenario, build only the first location. When you close a location, summon and build the next listed location. Shuffle any remaining cards from the previous location into the new one. When you close the final location listed for your number of players, summon but do not build the location's citadel. Shuffle the villain Soltengrebbe and one henchman Brimmerak per character into it. You win the scenario only when you defeat Soltengrebbe. So it's a bit of a different setup. It's going to be a little bit tougher as a result, I think. We do only have 3 locations, though, and then the citadel will be the 4th. So it's actually 1 location less than we normally do. And I've got that over to the side here. These 2 locations have not been built, but I do have the henchmen that are supposed to be there. So the only location that we have right now is Paradise Hill. At the start of your turn, if you have fewer than 2 mythic charges, get a mythic charge. So that's a helpful thing. And obviously, with only 1 location, we all have to go there. So Enora, Imrijka, and Seelah will all go to this location. And Enora will get things started. And she encounters a Wolverine. Check to acquire Wisdom, Survival 8. Well, she has a D6 for Wisdom, so she's probably not going to be able to acquire that. We're just going to let it go. She does have a bunch of blessings in hand, so I think that we will use one of them to explore again. Blessing of Pulora is not corrupted, so we don't have to worry about the bad side effect of the Blessing of Abraxas. I'll discard that and then explore again, and we find a Mist Horn. Check to acquire Intelligence, Arcane, Wisdom, Divine 9. Well, we should be able to acquire that pretty easily. When you attempt a check to acquire a spell or an item, you may use your knowledge skill in place of any listed skill. So we can be rolling a d12 plus 4 to get the Mist Horn. d12 plus 4. And we get a 3, which is a total of 7, so we did not get that because we needed a 9 for that. Display this card next to a location, reduce damage dealt by monsters at that location by 3. At the start of your turn. It's actually pretty good, isn't it? But we did not acquire it. Probably should have read it first to see if we wanted to spend a blessing on it, but that's okay. We're going to reset her hand. Play goes to Imrijka. And she finds Incubus, Combat 15. He's immune to electricity and poison traits. If you succeed in an Intelligence or Arcane 11 check, or if your check has the Force trait, add 5 to your checks to defeat Incubus. I don't think we'll have that. Before you act, another character at your location summons and encounters this adventurous servitor demon. That's a bit annoying. It doesn't say that it's a random choice, though, so we'll get to choose who does it. That is the Blood Demon. Check to defeat Combat 17. The Blood Demon is immune to the electricity and poison traits. Before you act, succeed in an Arcane or Divine 9 check, or you may not play spells that have the attack trait. So probably just send it to Seelah, since it's easier. During this encounter, if you would reveal, recharge, or discard a weapon that has the melee trait in a check against the Blood Demon, bury it instead. Okay, that's true. There's that downside there. Unfortunately, we only have electricity as a... Oh, no, wait. We have Fiery Glare. Okay, we're all set then. I guess we will have it be Enora then. And I'm going to cast the spell Brilliance. Discard this card. Display this card next to a character. While displayed, add 3 to the character's intelligence checks. At the end of the turn, if you do not have Arcane or Divine skill, banish this card. So we'll do that. We are going to use a Blessing of Abraxas. We're going to be rolling 3d12 plus 5 to beat that check. Which we should be able to do, I would think. And we definitely do. We get a 30, so we beat that. Now we will fight that with the Fiery Glare. We're going to use another Blessing of Abraxas. So it's going to be 3d12 and 2d4 plus 5, because we still have the Brilliance in play. 3d12 and 2d4 for a total of 18 plus 5 is 23, so we do defeat the Blood Demon. Now we will have a chance to recharge both of these. So we have Fiery Glare, that's going to take an Arcane 10, so d12 plus 5. And we get an 11, so we recharge Fiery Glare. And then we see if we can recharge Arcane Brilliance. It's an Arcane 8, so another D12 plus 5. And we get another 11, so we do recharge that. Now, she just burned a lot of blessings there, but we got through that. So now, back to Seelah fighting the Incubus. And we're not going to have the Force trait, unfortunately. We'll use the Composite Bow. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your Dexterity or Range skill plus your Strength die. So that will be 2d10 plus 2 more for Mythic, which I forgot with Enora. So they get a 15. So 2d10 plus 4, starting at 6 to get a 15. I think we are going to use the Blessing of Shax. It's going to discard this card to add 2 dice to any combat strength or dexterity check. And the top card of the discard pile does not have the Blessing, the Corrupted trait, so that's not going to affect us. So now we'll be rolling 4d10. 4d10 plus 4 is 23, so we defeat the Incubus. And it's Imrijka, so she gets to roll a d6. Only gets a 2 though, so she does not get to explore again. Could explore with the Interrogator, but we're already moving through this deck pretty reasonably, so I'm just going to reset and pass play over to Seelah, and we'll see what she finds. She finds a Giant Amoeba. Combat 10 or Dexterity 7. The Giant Amoeba is immune to Acid, Mental, and Poison. Before you act, each character at your location must succeed at a Dexterity or Stealth 8 check, or be dealt 1d4 minus 1 acid damage. Well, that's unfortunate. Well, okay. Each character must do that. We're probably going to have to use blessings to do this, I guess. Seelah, even if she uses the blessing, doesn't have a very good chance. Imrijka has an okay chance, and with a blessing, Enora has a decent chance, I guess. So Seelah is going to spend a blessing. She's only going to get 2d4. This is a dex check, so she can't use her mythic stuff. So just 2d4 to get an 8, which she only got a 5. So she's going to take 1d4 minus 1 acid damage. And that's a 2, so she's going to take 1 acid damage, which we will take on the riding horse. Now, Enora, she's already spent 3 blessings, so we're going to have Seelah spend her blessing of Abadar to give Enora another die. So she's going to roll 2d6 to get an 8. And there's another 1, our great friend the 1, so she's also going to take 1d4 minus 1. And she, of course, gets 4, so that's going to be 3 damage. That's her whole hand. Not off to a good start here. And finally, Imrijka needs to make this check, and she will also use a Blessing of Abadar. Oh, wait. I'm going to back up here because I should have done this. I'm still going to have to use that for Enora, but I should have used my Charisma skill instead. And then we still had a spell, so we would have been able to roll 2d10. Whoops. 2d10 plus 1. And there, we would have made that. So she doesn't end up taking the damage. That's good. Enora still takes the damage, and now we've got Imrijka rolling, and she's got a dex of d8, so she's going to be rolling 2d8, and then she's going to be able to use the 2 mythic charges. So 2d8 plus 2 for her to avoid the damage, and she does. So for your combat check, reveal this card to use your strength and melee skill plus 1d6 plus 1. So that would be a d8 and a d6 plus 4, plus 2 more, so plus 6. A d8 and a d6. Plus 6. So yeah, 15. That beats the Giant Amoeba. She could explore again using the horse. Might as well. Explores again and finds a Knight's Pennon. Charisma Diplomacy 9. When any character encounters a monster, display this card. While displayed, when any character attempts a combat check, add 1. Add an additional 1 if any character reveals an ally that has the Captain, Hireling, or Soldier trait. If any character fails the check to defeat the Bane, bury this card. Well, Charisma for us, Diplomacy, so it's d10 plus 2. And we get a 5, so that's a total of 7, which means we do not get the Knight's Pennon. And Seelah will reset her hand, and she picks up Radiance, so that's nice. Back to Enora. She's in tough shape, so she is not going to explore. She's just going to reset her hand. And that's actually going to leave her in a fairly vulnerable position, isn't it? She's got enough cards to reset her hand, but only just. Alright, back to Imrijka. And there is the Worldwound Cadre. Check to defeat combat 18, or Diplomacy Knowledge Ranged Survival 12. Each character attempts a different check to defeat. If any character fails, the barrier is undefeated. If undefeated, the Worldwound Cadre Deals a 1d4 combat damage to all characters. Then search this henchman's location deck and banish all boons. Shuffle this henchman into a random open location deck. Right. Pretty tough. So we have 2 combats, or we can do Diplomacy, Knowledge, Range, Survival. And it's Imrijka encountering. Well, we do have the Knights of Chimera, so the Righteous Medal of Valor will come into play. Because I think Enora is probably going to go for the Knowledge check. Oh wait, Ranged check is only 12. So Imrijka actually has an easier deal here, because she is going to use the range skill. So she will do the ranged check for only 12. So range, they snuck ranged in there at the 12 point. So that's what Imrijka should use. So she should be rolling 2d10 plus 4 if she used her composite bow. 2d10 plus 4. And we get 15 plus 19, so we defeat them. Imrijka defeats them using the ranged. And now we'll go over to Seelah, and she has Radiant. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your strength and melee skill plus 1d8. If you have the paladin trait, add 1d4 plus 1. So we're going to do that. That'll be 2d8 and a d4 plus, right now, 5, 6, 7. And then we'll add the d6 from the Knights of Chimera. So 2d8, a d6, a d4, plus 7. So that would be 21, so she defeats them at the 18 point. And now to Enora. She could do Knowledge, which would be the easiest one for her, because that would be a d12 plus 4 plus 6. And all she would have to do is spend a Blessing of Ascension. Spend the Blessing of Ascension, now 2d12 plus 6 to get a 12. 2d12 plus 6. And we still get a 1. Whoop, that changed its mind at the last moment there. 12, 6, so 18, which means we do defeat the Worldwound Cadre. If defeated, you may immediately close the location this henchman came from. That's what we're going to do. On closing, draw a random non-basic ally from the box. So she's going to draw a random non-basic ally from the box. And that's basic. Basic. The Caravan Guard, Human Hireling Elite. Okay, so we'll get him. And that is going to close this location. And now we need to build the Celestial Beacon. Add 1d8 to your checks against a monster that has the demon trait. But it has 6 monsters in it. 3 monsters. And no barriers, no weapons, 2 spells. And no armor but 1 item. One ally. And 2 blessings. And that brings it up to 10 cards, so we will now shuffle that. And let's see, that had been Imrijka's turn. She would have ended her turn here, so now it switches to Seelah, who will move over to the Celestial Beacon, and explores and finds the ally Rift Warden. Intelligence, Knowledge 7, or Diplomacy 10. Well, Diplomacy is the check we would want to go for that. Recharge this card to add 1 die to your check to close location. Discard this card to explore location. That's not bad, actually. But we don't have a blessing to put into it anyway. So for us, it's just going to be a d10 plus 2 to get a 10. So an 8 or better, and we get a 6, so the Rift Warden goes away. She does not have a way to explore again, so pass play to Enora. And she finds Archer's Bracers. Dexterity range 7. Well, she has a d6, so she's not going to be able to get those, and we probably don't care too much about them anyway. So let those go. She'll reset her hand and pass play to Imrijka, who now moves over and joins the rest of them and finds a Blessing of Ascension. She does have mythic charges, so she acquires this automatically. She's going to use the Caravan Guard that she just picked up to explore, and finds a Mongrel Wizard. Combat, see below. The difficulty of the check to defeat is equal to the highest difficulty to defeat a random monster from the box. Before you act, the Mongrel Wizard deals 1 acid damage to you. 1 acid damage. We'll take that on the scale of disguise. And now we have to find a random monster to determine what his difficulty is. And it's almost always the Mongol Ranger. This is crazy. Okay, so he's going to be an 11. Combat 11. So we will use our composite bow. So 2d10 plus 4 to get an 11. There's 8. Plus 4 is 12. So he is defeated, but now he's going to deal a poison damage to us, which we'll take on the heavy crossbow. Taking some pretty substantial damage, unfortunately. That was defeating a monster, though, so she can roll a d6. On a 3 or higher, she gets to explore again. She gets a 6. And we find Incubus. Oh, this guy again. Okay. Combat 15. Before you act, another character at location summons and encounters this adventure's servitor demon. We have this fun guy. He's immune to electricity and poison. Before you act, succeed an arcane or divine check, or you may not play spells that have the attack trait. Which makes it difficult for Enora, because she is going to be rolling a d12 plus 4. But to get a 9 is pretty steep. Now, if we send it to Seelah and she uses a weapon, then she has to bury it. Imrijka could give a blessing to Enora to make that check. Alright, so I guess we'll send it to Enora, and we're going to say she is going to do a 2d12 plus 4 to get a 9. And luckily that knocked that. That's 10 plus 4 is 14, so we can use spells. And he's immune to electricity and poison. So everything that we have would work against him, so we'll use Force Missile. And just by casting a spell, we're going to get a spell back. So we're going to get Lightning Touch back. And now it would be 2d12... No, sorry, just a d12 plus 2d4 plus 4 at the moment. And then, can we use the Demon Hunter's Handbook? He is a demon, so sure. We're going to recharge this card to add 1d4 plus the Bane's adventure deck number to a check against a Bane that has the cultist or demon trait. After playing, you may succeed in an arcane, an intelligence or knowledge check with a difficulty of 5 plus twice the Bane's adventure deck number to reveal this card instead of recharging it. And so now we'll be rolling a d12 and a 3d4 plus our base of 4 plus he's a 2, so a 6. d12 and 3d4 plus 6. Which gives us a total of 20, and he is a 17, so we do defeat him. And now we need to see if we can recharge Force Missile, so that's going to be a d12 plus 4 to get a 6. And we get that. And then we're going to see if we can do the Demon Hunter's Handbook, which requires us to roll... So we can use Knowledge on this one. It's going to be a d12 plus... right now, 6. 5 plus twice the Bane's adventure deck number, so a 9. Okay. d12 plus 6 to get a 9, and we do, so that's just going to stay in our hand. We're back to Imrijka, right? She's the one that encountered this, I think. He's immune to electricity and poison. We don't have the force trait, but he's a combat 15. So we're going to use a composite bow. For a combat check, reveal this card. Use your dexterity or range skill plus your strength skill. So 2d10 plus 4 right now. 2d10 plus 4. We do have the interrogator standing by if we fail the check. If you fail the check against the monster that has the demon trait, discard this card to re-roll the dice, take the new result. Can anyone else help? That's the question. Now, so we could use a mythic charge if we wanted to. I guess we will. We'll use one mythic charge. So now we'll be rolling a d20 and a d10 plus 4. It's a d10. So it's 20 and a 10. And 9 and 8 is 17 plus 4. So yes, we do defeat him. And now what does our mythic ability read? If you do ignore the replace the highest number. Okay, so then we didn't actually get any. There's no extra ability from that. So he goes away. But she gets to roll a d6 to see if she can explore again. And gets a 4, so she can. And finds Life Drain, Arcane 7 or Wisdom Divine 9. She could make that. It's a d8 plus 1. There are no blessings on the table, so nobody can help. It's going to be just a d8 plus 1 to get a 9. And we do not acquire that Life Drain. That's going to be the end of her turn. She'll reset her hand. Cure comes up. That's good because we're kind of in tough shape across the board here. Passes play over to Seelah. Now, Seelah is actually in the best shape of all of us, so she is fine to go, but of course that Worldwound Cadre... Worldwound Cadre we all have to fight. And there's only 4 cards, so it's coming up soon. Yeah, of course. Alright, well... Each character attempts a different check to defeat. If any character... Oh, one of the things that we did wrong before, though, was we were supposed to take all the remaining cards from the previous location and put them in the new one. There were 4 cards in there, so we have to remember to do that this time. There's so many little rules to keep track of. Anyway, we all have to fight this guy. It's army, so we're going to be able to use our Knights of Canabras ability. So that's going to be combat 18. So with Radiance, that would be 2d8 and a d4 plus 1, and then another d6 from the Knights of Canabras, and then plus 5. 2d8 and a d6 and a d4 plus 6, actually. And there's our good friend, the 1. Plus 6 is 18. Oh boy, just make it. That's Seelah's fight done. Now it goes to Enora. Question is, should she take the knowledge check or should she take the combat check? The knowledge check right now, since we don't have any blessings on the table, is probably more difficult because we only have a d12 plus 5. No, 6. d12 plus 6 to get a 12. That's not bad, actually. So that would be a d12 plus, what did I say? 6. d12 plus 6. And there's 7 plus 6 is 13, so we do defeat the Worldwound Cadre. And now it's to Imrijka. For a combat check, reveal this card to use your dexterity or strength or range. Oh, and you know what? She would have had another d6 actually because of the Knights of Canabras, Righteous Medal of Clarity. I have to keep these things in mind. Imrijka is going to be rolling 2d10 plus a d6 from the Knights of Canabras plus 3. 2d10 and a d6 plus 3. And we get a total of 21. So we defeat the Worldwound Cadre, and now we can close the location. And now this time we have to move these cards over to this location. I have to remember to do that. On closing, you may recharge a blessing from your discard pile. Well, we will definitely want to do that. That is the end of Imrijka's turn, I guess. And now we need to build the armory. No monsters, no barriers, 4 weapons. And no spells, but 4 armors. And 1 ally. And no blessings. Now the henchman was already there, so now we just need to shuffle this. When you acquire a weapon, you may draw a card. Summon and acquire a random weapon to close. When permanently closed, no effect. Okay, so it will go to Seelah, and she will move over to start things. And she finds Consecrate. Wisdom Divine 8 is a D8 plus 1 for her. But like, she get blessings back into the blessings deck, which is kind of nice. But we did not get it. She does not have a way to explore again. I'm actually going to drop the Thigh here. Yeah, Blessing of Abraxas, that's good. So now we could use the Dawnflower's Light or have a blessing. That'll be the end of her turn. It goes over to Enora, who's going to move over. And she will explore. And she finds a hand crossbow. I didn't know there were any left. I thought Imrijka had them all, but Dexterity range 5, she does have a d6, so she could potentially get that. I don't think Imrijka really needs it, but, well, she picks it up anyway. We could explore with Chuffy Lickwound, but we're not the only person here, so we're not going to get his benefit. Although he's not really doing much else, is he? But just, you know, he's worth keeping in hand just simply for hand size. We could use, and I think we will, the Sacred Prism. Bury this card to shuffle 1d4 cards from your discard pile of a character at your location into their deck. And we're gonna shuffle our own cards in. So 1d4. And we get a 3, so not bad. And these are almost all blessings. So we're gonna get 3 blessings back. And those get shuffled in. That brings Enora back into pretty decent shape. And that would be the end of her turn. So now Imrijka moves over to join the crew. And she explores, and she finds a Blessing of Ascension. She has a mythic charge, so she acquires it automatically. She will use it immediately to explore again. She finds a Marksman's Bow. Uh-oh, this could be an upgrade for her. Check to acquire Dexterity range 10. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your Dexterity or range skill plus your Strength die plus the Scenario's Adventure deck number. You may additionally discard this card to add another 1d6 plus 1. Yep, that's definitely an improvement. And it has the magic trait. Okay, Dexterity range 10. Well, our ranged is a d10 plus 2, and we can use a mythic charge, so d10 plus 3. And Seelah will give us a blessing, so now we're going to be rolling 2d10 plus 3. And we do get that. That is going to be a nice improvement for Imrijka. A nice pickup there. I think I will pass play. Well, let's see. No, we're not going to because we're over our hand size right now. We might as well use the Interrogator to explore again. And a Wolverine. Wisdom Survival 8. Well, it'll be a D8 for us. Just a plain D8. And we get a 1. So we do not acquire the Wolverine. And now she'll pass play to Seelah. And Seelah finds Scale Mail, Constitution Fortitude 4. That's a D8 plus 1 for her. And we get a 5, so we do acquire the Scale Mail, which brings her back up to her hand size, but she doesn't have a way to explore. So pass play to Enora. She's got some spells, so she's okay to explore. And she finds a Worm Demon. Haven't seen this guy for a while. Combat 10. He's immune to electricity and poison. Well, we can use the Frigid Blast for him. And he is a demon, so we're also going to use the Demon Hunter's Handbook. So that's going to be a D12 plus 3d4, and he's just a base, so we don't add anything else on there. And then plus 4. A d12 and 3d4 plus 4. And more than enough to defeat the Worm Demon. And we cast a spell. I don't think there are any spells in here. No, there are no spells. So now we will see if we can get a Divine 6 with a d12 plus 4. And we do. So that gets recharged, and now we'll see if we can reveal the Demon Hunter's Handbook instead. So we need only to get a 5. So that's a d12 plus knowledge, which is going to be a total of 6. So we can't fail that, so we reveal that instead. And she doesn't, well, she could explore with Chuffy. She's not going to, though. She's going to do the same thing of holding on to cards so she doesn't die. Generally a good strategy, I think. Pass play over to Imrijka. Now we're halfway through the Blessings deck. She explores and finds an Imperial Army Great Helm. Constitution, Fortitude, Charisma, 8. We cannot get that. There's nothing on the table to help us get that. I'll let that go. But I am going to use Cure. So reveal this card and choose character location. Shuffle 1d4 plus 1 random cards from their discard pile into their deck. 1d4 plus 1, we get 4 cards back. Shuffle those, take those random 4 cards out of there, and those go back into the deck. And now if we can make a Divine 8, we can recharge that, which is going to be a d8 plus 1. So 7 or 8 to recharge, we do not, so it's going to be discarded. Now she'll reset her hand. Passes play to Seelah. 5 cards left here, and we find a Swordbreaker weapon. Check requires Strength Melee 9. D8 plus 3, we get 8, so we do not acquire the Swordbreaker. No way to explore again, unfortunately, so passing play to Enora. Explores, and finds Armor of the Pious. Heavy Armor, Magic Healing, Constitution Fortitude 8. When you play a Blessing that has the Iomade trait, reveal this card to allow a character at your location to recharge a random card from their discard pile. Recharge this card to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 3. Banish this card to reduce all damage dealt to you to 0. Proficient with Heavy Armor's Barrier instead. Wow, it's pretty good. I don't think she can get it, though. Well, there is a Blessing of Shax. Is that going to be enough to help? Constitution Fortitude 8. No, probably not, because she only has a d4. It would be really nice for Seelah, but there's really no way to help to get it. Well, let's take the chance. We'll spend the Blessing of Shax just to roll 2d4 and see if she can get an 8. Probably not, but it's worth trying, and we don't. It would have been a nice pickup if she had been able to get it. Now there's only 3 cards left here. We are going to use Chuffy to explore, and there it is, the Worldwound Cadre. And now we have to fight this again. Well, she has been doing the knowledge check, since it's pretty good for us. It's a d12 plus 6. And we have Brilliance, actually. We might as well use Brilliance, so now it would be a d12 plus 9 to get a 12. And we do get it. We get an 18. D12 plus 9 to get an 8. Well, we can't fail that, actually, so Brilliance gets recharged. Over to Imrijka. And she's going to use her fancy new Marksman's Bow. Exterior range skill plus your strength die plus the scenario's adventure deck number, which is 2. I think I realized last time, I don't know if I did it both times, maybe I did, I'm sure someone will correct me. When I use a range skill, I wasn't thinking of it just in terms of a ranged check. I was thinking of it in terms of using a weapon, which is not correct. That would be a combat check. We could either roll a d10 plus 3 to get a 12, which isn't very good, or we could roll 2d10 and a d6 plus 3 plus 2 from here, from the Marksman's Bow, to get an 18, which also is not very good. But there are no blessings on the table, so that is about all we can do, unless we want to discard this to get the extra 1d6 and use the Corrosive Dagger. That'll give us a d4 plus 1. Okay, so let's do that. So 2d10 and a d6 and a d4 plus 6. Gets us just barely. How many ones did we get? 2 ones? Yeah, that gets us 18. So she defeats them. And now to Seelah. She's going to do combat as well. She's going to use Radiance, though. That's going to be 2d8 plus a d6 from this. No, sorry, that's a d4 plus 1. Plus a d6 from Knights of Canabras. Plus a d4 plus 1. And then the points on top of that, 5, yeah, 6. 2d8, a d6, and a d4. Plus 6. And that gives us 21, so we do defeat the Worldwound Cadre. And that goes away, and we can close this location. There is no effect. And now, when you close the final location listed for your number of players summoned, but do not build the location's citadel. When you close the location, summon and build the next listed location, shuffle any remaining cards from the previous location into the new one. When you close the final location listed for your number of players, summon but do not build the location's citadel, shuffle the villain Soltengrebbe and 1 henchman Brimrak per character into it. You win the scenario only when you defeat Soltengrebbe. I don't know if that means we put these 2 cards in there or not, because we're not going to build this. I mean, we're going to just put them in there. It's only 2 cards, and they're not bad things anyway. So now we've got 3 Brimraks here, and then we've got Soltengrebbe, which is ridiculous. It's 3 combat checks. Of course, why we have to all be at that location. So go into there, and then I assume we're going to shuffle this. Yeah, shuffle. All right, and whose turn was that? That was Enora's turn, I think. So she's going to reset her hand. Pass play to Imrijka, who is the first one to be able to move over. Now, she doesn't want to encounter the villain alone. That would be bad. So she's just going to reset. Pass play to Seelah. She's going to ditch that scale mail. We don't have the mount with us right now, so there's no point in keeping that. So we'll draw 2 cards, and then over to Enora. And I guess she will be the first one to explore here. And she finds leather armor, Constitution Fortitude 2, a d4 for her. And she gets a 3, so she picks that up. She could explore again with her Blessing of Abraxas, but I think we probably should hold on to that. There's 10 blessings and only 5 cards here, so the right thing to do is to pass play, although that means she's going to discard a card. She will, I guess, discard the leather armor. Over to Imrijka, and she finds a sickle. Strength melee 5. It's a d10 plus a 1 for her. And we do pick up the sickle. Not really much point in having that, though. Over Raven Figurine. Recharge this card to allow another character to give 1 weapon, armor, or item to you. Let's do that, and we will take that hand crossbow from Enora. We'll discard the sickle and pass play to Seelah. And now, it's got to be a bad guy. And it's Brimrak. Check to defeat combat 12. Brimrak is immune to electricity and fire. The difficulty to defeat Brimrak is increased by twice the scenario's adventure deck number. All damage dealt by Brimrak is fire damage, so he's going to go up to 16 now. After you act, if the check to defeat Brimrak had the piercing or slashing trait, he deals 2 fire damage to you. Okay, well, we're pretty much not going to have... Oh no, we are going to have the piercing and slashing trait, aren't we? Piercing is on Flaming Pick and on Radiance. Oh no, Radiance does not have the slashing trait. Something tells me it should. Should Sword Radiance have the slashing trait? Yes. So Radiant should have the slashing trait, so we definitely will have the slashing trait. He is a demon, though, and we do have a blessing, so we can use our Dawnflower's Light. And so he's a 16. Alright. We're going to use Radiance. For your combat check, reveal this card to use your Strength and Melee skill plus 1d8. And then we're going to get the Paladin trait of 1d4 plus 1. And we're going to get Dawnflower's Light. Reveal this card and discard a card that has the Divine trait to add 1d8 and the Magic trait to your check against the Bane that has the Demon, Devil, Fiend, or Undead trait. If the discarded card has a Serenite trait, shuffle it into your deck instead of discarding it. And it does happen to, so we're going to shuffle that in. That's really nice. Now we're rolling 3d8 and a d4 plus 1 from the d4. So that's 5, 6, 7. 3d8 and a d4 plus 7. This is plenty. 26. Defeats Brimrak. If defeated, you may immediately attempt to close the location this henchman came from. Succeed at a combat check with a difficulty of 9 plus twice the scenario's adventure deck number. So that would be 13. Combat 13. The benefit of doing that would be that we would bring the villain to the top. Alright, well, I might as well try it. We don't take any damage from this, right? Succeed in combat check with a difficulty of 9 plus twice the scenario's adventure deck number. So 13. That would be 2d8 plus 6. Oh, and then d4 plus 1. So plus 7. 2d8 and a d4 plus 7, which gives us 17. So we do manage to do that, and now we can just find the bad guy, Soltengrebbe, and see what he's about. Combat 17, then 18, then 19. He's immune to electricity and poison. If you succeed at a knowledge 10 check, add 4 to your checks against Soltengrebbe that have the acid, cold, or fire trait. Before you act, he deals 1d4 combat cold damage to each character at your location. Yeah, he's pretty bad. Well, let's see. Before you act, he deals 1... So there's nothing we can do about that. He's just going to deal us 1d4 cold damage, which... Yikes. Everybody takes 1d4. 2 for Enora. So she'll toss Fiery Glare. Well, anyway. It's not a demon, so we're going to toss that. It's 2 damage. Imrijka, she takes 3. But she has the Gossamer Shrouds. If you're the only character at your location, banish this card to reduce all damage dealt to you to 0, and bury it instead if you're proficient. So we will bury it and get rid of that 3 damage, and then Seelah takes 3 damage, and she also has some armor. Eagle Knight dress uniform, recharge this card to reduce combat damage dealt to you by 3. Actually, is it combat damage? No, it's cold damage, so that wouldn't work. You know, this was the wrong move over here. We could have discarded a spell to reduce cold or fire damage dealt to you to 0. So we would have kept this, and we would have just discarded that spell. But back to Seelah. Recharge this card to add 1 plus the scenario's mentioned. No. Banish this card to reduce all damage. Okay, she's just going to have to do that because she can't deal with cold damage specifically. Alright, well, Enora potentially can get that plus 4. So let's see what she does for that. So that would be a knowledge check, which is a d12 plus 4, 6. d12 plus 6 to see if she can get a 10. And she does. So she's going to be doing an extra 4 damage. There's no chance for either Seelah or Imrijka to make that. So we'll give Enora the big check of combat 19. And she has a blessing. So the only person without a blessing is Seelah. So she'll take the little check, I guess. She'll take the 17. So she's going to be rolling 2d8. And we'll discard Radiance to get a d6. We have the Paladin trait, so we get the d4 plus 1. Plus 4, 1, so that's 5, 7. And then we're going to toss both of these to turn those 2d8s into d20s. So now 2d20 plus a d6 plus a d4 plus 7. Plus a d6 plus a d4. Alright, well we got 20 on one of those 20s and a 12. So then we've got 32 plus 6 is 38, and then plus 7 is 45. I guess we got 17, okay. I guess we did. If you succeed at the check, choose another character at your location to get a charge. So we're going to choose Imrijka, she's going to get a charge. And we're going to let her do the second check, combat 18. And let us see. We will use the Marksman's Bow, which is going to be 2d10 plus 4 right now. We will discard it to get another d6 plus 1. So 2d10 and a d6 plus 5. And we have the blessing, so now it's going to be 3d10 and a d6 plus 5. And then we're going to use both of these mythic charges to make the 2 of those d10s 20s. So now 2d20 and a d10 and a d6 plus 5 is, let's see, that's 38 there, and then 5, so 43. In the 40s again. Very good. Okay, and now to Enora. So she gets that extra 4. She's going to use Fiery Glare, of course. She's going to use the Blessing of Abraxas. 3d12 plus 2d4 plus 4. And then again, we're going to use these, make the 2 of those 12s 20s. So now 2d20 and a d12 and 2d4. Oh, and we moved one of the 20s. Uh-oh. And it's just freaking out. We're gonna settle on something. We're gonna settle on 6. So 9 and 9, that's 18. Anyway, 18 And then we had the 4 from just points, and then we had the extra 4, so another 8. So we're going to be at 26, and that is enough to defeat Soltengrebbe. That is the end of that scenario. So, gain a medal on the troop Knights of Cannabis, and each character gains a card feat. So, thanks for watching this episode of the Pathfinder adventure card game Wrath of the Righteous. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you know when I'm posting videos in the future. And we will be back next week with Into the Citadel. Thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you next time.